he was an active member of the IWW. In the 30s, he carried on similar work independently. For example, he was involved in the agitation that led up to the San Francisco General Strike in 1934. When there ceased to be any significant revolutionary movement, he set in for the long retrenchment, establishing contacts among persons who had maintained integrity and radicality, initiating reassessments of perspectives, continuing to speak and act when possible, speak out. Although he clearly opposed all forms of so-called communism, Rexroth did not, like so many others of his generation, react into supporting Western capitalism. This is from another poem, the long poem, by the way, The Dragon and the Unicorn, which has already been mentioned, which I think is maybe his greatest work. I am far better aware of the evils of Stalinism than you are, you ex-Trotskyite warmonger. But it won't get you anywhere to tell me I should welcome the beast who devours me just because a bigger lion is eating somebody else on the other side of the arena. The failures of Bolshevism and other forms of governmental socialism to bring about a truly radical social change confirmed Rexroth's recognition that the state is basically a protection racket. As he put it, the state does not tax you to provide you with services. The state taxes you to kill you. The services are something which it has kidnapped from you in your organic relations with your fellow man to justify its police and war-making powers. During World War II, Rexroth was a conscientious objector. He did not advocate strict nonviolence in every situation, but he was resolutely opposed to all wars between modern nation-states, considering them worse than any of the evils they claimed to be fighting. During the war, he formed an anti-war group called the Randolph-Bourne Council, named in memory of an author who wrote on the theme, "War is the Health of the State." And he also worked to aid Japanese Americans who were being harassed and sent to concentration camps. As a matter of fact, he came up with some scams that enabled quite a few of them to escape incarceration altogether. After the war, Rexroth and a few others organized the San Francisco Anarchist Circle. In his autobiography, he described it like this. Every week we had a meeting, each time devoted to a single topic: Spanish peasant communes, German workers' councils, utopian communities in America, the Kronstadt Revolt, Makhno, Bakunin, Kropotkin, Emma Goldman. The place was always crowded, and when the topic for the evening was sex and anarchy, you couldn't get in the doors. I always imagine him, I'm just reading that, but once in a while, I can just hear him. You couldn't get in the doors. There was no aspect of anarchist history or theory that was not presented by a qualified person and then thrown open to spontaneous discussion. Our objective was to refound the radical movement after its destruction by the Bolsheviks, end quote. The Anarchist Circle was the first major focus of the post-war ferment that came to be called the San Francisco Renaissance. Some of its participants went on to found radio station KPFA, several experimental theater groups, and numerous little magazines. Others included many of the poets and artists who were to be influential in the Bay Area during the following decades. Rexroth was in the thick of all this. In addition to his vital role in the Anarchist Circle, he hosted weekly readings and discussions in his own home, and in countless articles, interviews, and KPFA broadcasts, he denounced the cultural and political establishments and heralded the new dissident tendencies. No one else played such a vital role in laying the foundations for the San Francisco Renaissance of the 50s, which in turn was one of the critical points of departure for the more widespread contestation of the 60s. But that new contestation posed new tactical and strategical questions which I believe Rexroth failed to confront in a sufficiently coherent way. Unfortunately, I don't have time to go into those questions. If you want to find out what criticisms I have of Rexroth's politics, and also what I have to say about sex and mysticism, you'll have to get the book. I'm going to finish with a poem that he wrote for the funeral of an old friend. For Eli Jacobson, December 1952. There are few of us now. Soon there will be none. We were comrades together. We believed we would see with our own eyes the new world where man was no longer wolf to man, but men and women were all brothers and lovers together. We will not see it. We will not see it, none of us. It is farther off than we thought. In our young days, we believed that as we grew old and fell out of rank, new recruits, young and with the wisdom of youth, would take our places, and they surely would grow old in the golden age. They have not come. They will not come. There are not many of us left. Once we marched in closed ranks. Today, each of us fights off the enemy, a lonely, isolated guerrilla. All this has happened before, many times. It does not matter. Life was good for us. It is good to be brave. Nothing is better. Food tastes better. Wine is more brilliant. Girls are more beautiful. The sky is bluer for the brave and happy comrades, and for the lonely, brave, retreating warriors. You had a good life. Even all its sorrows and defeats and disillusionments were good, met with courage and a gay heart. You are gone, and we are that much more alone. We are one fewer. Soon we shall be none. We know now we have failed for a long time, and we do not care. We few will remember as long as we can. Our children may remember. Someday the world will remember. Then they will say, they lived in the days of the good comrades. It must have been wonderful to have been alive then, though it is very beautiful now. We will be remembered, all of us, always, by all men, in the good days now so far away. If the good days never come, we will not know. We will not care. Our lives were the best. We were the happiest men alive in our day.
I read your book on sex and mysticism, and I learned quite a bit.
You do it all.
What a privilege it is to be able and celebrate the shape of mind and poetry of Kenneth Rexroth together. Philosophical anarchy. Do you know what that means to someone living in Utah? Do we know what that means for all of us in the face of our fundamentalist government in power now? We have this beautiful, complete poem of Rexroth in the nick of time. Never have we needed Rexroth's integrated and interrelated view of the world more. To see the world whole, even holy, to recognize there is no separation between the body of the earth and our own. This is its own poetic revolution. Sam, you have honored your elders, our elders, Rexroth in particular, when you asked poets, writers all over this country to join you in writing their way, our way, to peace and resistance. Thank you. To Gray, to the staff of Copper Canyon, to the board, thank you for reminding us over and over again with each volume that beauty and integrity are not optional. I was reading Camus, and I loved when he says, to create today is to create dangerously. In Rexroth's words, this is the signature of all things. My head and shoulders, and my book in the cool shade, and my body stretched bathing in the sun, I lie reading beside the waterfall, Bohem's signature of all things. Through the deep July day, the leaves of the laurel, all the colors of gold, spin down through the moving deep laurel shade all day. They float on the mirrored sky and forest for a while, and then, still slowly spinning, sink through the crystal deep of the pool to its leaf gold floor. The saint saw the world as streaming in the electrolysis of love. I put him by and gazed through shade folded into shade of slender laurel trunks and leaves filled with sun. The wren broods in her moss-domed nest. A newt struggles with a white moth drowning in the pool. The hawks scream, playing together on the ceiling of heaven. The long hours go by. I think of those who have loved me, of all the mountains I have climbed, of all the seas I have swum in. The evil of the world sinks. My own sin and trouble fall away like Christian's bundle, and I watch my 40 summers fall like falling leaves and falling water held eternally in summer air. Deer are stamping in the glades under the full July moon. There is a smell of dry grass in the air, and more faintly, the scent of a far-off skunk. As I stand at the wood's edge, watching the darkness, listening to the stillness, a small owl comes to the branch above me, on wings more still than my breath. When I turn my light to him, his eyes glow like drops of iron, and he perks his head at me like a curious kitten. The meadow is bright as snow. My dog prowls the grass, a dark blur in the blur of brightness. I walk to the oak grove where the Indian village was once. There, in blotched and cobwebbed light and dark, dim in the blue haze, are 20 Holstein heifers, black and white, all lying down quietly together under the huge trees rooted in the graves. When I dragged the rotten log from the bottom of the pool, it seemed heavy as stone. I let it lie in the sun for a month, and then chopped it into sections and split them for kindling and spread them out to dry some more. Late that night, after reading for hours, while moths rattled at the lamp, the saints and the philosophers on the destiny of man, I went out on my cabin porch and looked up through the black forest at the swaying islands of stars. Suddenly, I saw at my feet, spread on the floor of night, ingots of quivering phosphorescence. And all about were scattered chips of pale, cold light that was alive. Time spirals. Under the second moon, the salmon come. Up to Mollusk Bay, up Paper Mill Creek, up the narrow gorge to their spawning beds in Devil's Gulch. Although I expect them, I walk by the stream and hear them splashing and discover them each year with a start. When they are frightened, they charge the shallows, their immense red and blue bodies thrashing out of the water over the cobbles. Undisturbed, they lie in the pools. The struggling males poise and dart and recoil. The females lie quiet, pulsing with birth. Soon all of them will be dead. Their handsome bodies ragged and putrid, half the flesh battered away by their great lust. I sit for a long time in the chilly sunlight by the pool below my cabin and think of my own life. So much wasted, so much lost, all the pain, all the deaths and dead ends, so very little gained after it all. Late in the night, I come down for a drink. I hear them rushing at one another in the dark. The surface of the pool rocks. The half-moon throbs on the broken water. I touch the water. It is black, frosty. Frail blades of ice form on the edges. In the cold night, the stream flows away out of the mountains towards the bay, bound on its long recurrent cycle from the sky to the sea. No word. The trees hang silent in the heat. Undo your heart. Tell me your thoughts, what you were and what you are, like bells no one has ever rung. Confusion of the senses. Moonlight fills the laurels like music. The moonlit air does not move. Your white face moves towards my face. Voluptuous sorrow holds us like a cobweb, like a song, a perfume, the moonlight. Your hair falls and holds our faces. Your lips curl into mine. Your tongue enters my mouth. A bat flies through the moonlight. The moonlight fills your eyes. They have neither iris nor pupil. They are only globes of cold fire, like the deer's eyes that go by us through the empty forest. Your slender body quivers and smells of seaweed. We lie together listening, to each other breathing. In the moonlight, do you hear? We are breathing.